my bed to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8. Will today be rough or will today be great? 9, 10, 11, 12. Lately I've been going through hell. 13, 14, 15, 16. Today's the day. Are you coming? Are you I'm sick of being normal, I'm sick of being average. I'm sick of being mortal, I'm about to be a savage. I see a lot of things that I want, I will have them. I got a new mindset that I just established. I'll march through the cold with the nails on the pavement. I'll shovel that coal just to get out the basement. My story will be told, helping others make changes. I'll be so bold, they will watch in amazement.
Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
Foot up on the pedal, pushing hard to the metal. Make a deal with the devil, channel rage through my vessel into something that is special. Energy of a rebel, going up a level. I just wanna be greatness, I could feel changes. Turn a new page and tie up my laces. I will be the bravest, break out of my cages. I will not be nameless, I will not be aimless.
Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. It's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. When I'm not right, it's my time to take it.
What is going on, everyone? What is going on? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 228. Let me take this quick banner down. What's up, everybody? Thank you for rocking. I know it's at 9 o'clock. It's our After Hours episode, part 8. Welcome back into the show, my brother from another, Rich Mitchell. Rich, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining in tonight.
Yo, what's up, bro? I'm happy to be here.
Appreciate you, man. Set up the birds light in the back. See that?
Yeah, nice
Had to
setup.
add that, man. Had to add the touch, man. Had to add the touch.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some
Man.
lights up in here myself.
Yeah, exactly. Is that Kandyce down there? I don't know who it says Lala.
Yeah, it is Kandyce. A lot of it's crazy. It's like a nickname. A lot of people call me Lala.
Okay. All right. What's up, Kandyce? Thank you for joining
I
in.
don't know why they call me that. They say Lala Anthony. I don't know. I don't see it, but yeah. But hey, love being on here. It's always a pleasure.
Appreciate you. Thanks. And then my guy Zach too. Zach, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining in, man. Appreciate you.
Hey,
man.
no problem. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Just locking in for this episode and the topic tonight, guys. What we're talking about, we're doing a little bit on the long term relationship side, and then a little bit on the short term as well. We'd like to kind of keep it open. So, what we're talking about in terms of long term relationships, committed relationships, is understanding your partner's love language. Like, those are important conversations. A lot of people, people know what love languages are. Most people do, like the 5 love languages, but it's still a topic that we've never covered here. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what the 5 love languages are and how to kind of understand your partner's needs and have that conversation with them. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about attachment styles and attachment theory. This is going to be, it's not going to be super psychological or anything like that, but just the basis and just kind of understanding your partner's, background and like their personality. And then we're also going to talk on the short term, the issues that are currently going on with modern dating today. So I'm sure from the guys' perspective, me, Rich, and Zach can talk a little bit about that. Kandyce, you could probably weigh in from the women's perspective because there's a lot of issues out here. There's good things, but there's also a lot of issues with modern day dating today. So we're gonna talk about that. I think Rob is actually coming on too. He was just texting me, so being here shortly. Yeah, guys, I know we had like a female and male guest panel that was going to be on here. Kandyce, I appreciate you locking in. I had some cancellations on the other side, on the women's side, but that's okay. This episode's been postponed too many times. We're going to keep this show going and just get through these topics tonight. Anybody who's watching, appreciate you guys who are on YouTube checking us out. If you're on Facebook, appreciate you too. If you're on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell in the corner to turn those notifications on. If you like content related to personal growth or you like sports content, because that's what we talk about here. So you don't want to miss that if you are interested in that. Also, if you're watching on Facebook, I'm assuming you're already part of the community. So thank you for that. Still hit the like button, just like YouTube really helps us out with the algorithm. YouTube or Facebook, either one that you're on, comment in. It really, really helps us as well. It gives us traction. It keeps us going. And honestly, it would be great to hear from you guys. We can kind of go and add a discussion here. If you're on YouTube, I can put your comments on the screen. If you're on Facebook, I can read your comments out loud. With that being said, we'll hop into it. I don't know, man. So Rich, like, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of thinking which way to kind of start here. You think we should start on the modern dating side, or should we go into the deeper stuff? Maybe start on the modern dating side first, and then kind of dive into that.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. All right, guys. So some of the issues that kind of plague us today in modern dating, I guess I could start on the men's side. We could just go around. I'll list just a couple. I think one of them is there's a lot of things surrounding, right, hookup culture, right? That's a big one. So it depends on what you're looking for, I would say, first and foremost. But if you are looking for intentionality in terms of a relationship, anything like that, there's a lot of these things today. Like, we have dating apps, right? And dating apps, they make things very convenient because you can meet people without even to have to leave your home, which is it was never a thing, 15, 20 years ago. I think Tinder was probably one of the first few, or maybe it was, if we go real old school, like Match.com or something like that. But as we got into like the serious dating app culture, I think Tinder was probably the first one. And where we're at today is a lot of it is like kind of like, not everyone on dating apps is a part of hookup culture, but it's kind of where a lot of it has a lot of it. I don't know like what your experiences have been with this, but like, you know, you go on dating apps and you see, you know, what's kind of out there, and it's you find, sometimes you find like legitimate connections, but in my history, I'm talking about going back 10, 15 years, you know, in any history I've ever had with dating apps, a lot of it is like hookup culture based. Can you agree with that?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Most of the time when people are going on apps, it's almost kind of like dehuman dehumanization a little bit, you know, because you're swiping left, you're swiping right, and so it wouldn't surprise me that a lot of the people who are on a lot of the, you know, basic dating apps are looking to hook up, or still kind of in that hookup culture, and you know, some sense of dehumanization there, and you know, yeah,
Yeah, I think people tend to. I can speak from a man's. That's a good point. I can speak from a guy's perspective. I think we tend to, especially with dating apps, is we devalue people, right? And it's just subconscious. It's not even like we're doing it consciously, but we kind of do it subconsciously. So what I mean by that is like, it's so easy to, when we don't like something in somebody, we can just swipe and get on an app and just, it's almost like you're picking somebody out of like a basket or something. You know what I mean? It's I don't know how to really explain it, but it's just like today's day and age, this has become issues inside of relationships too, or also inside of marriages, unfortunately, is that people think they have like a million options. So what they do is they can, the moment they're not getting something from that connection, they go to a dating app and they can just swipe and then match with somebody and start talking. Whereas like back in the day, that wasn't really a thing. Like it was more so you had to go out to meet people. You actually had to meet somebody in person and have a conversation, you know, to on dates. But now it's just at your fingertips. You have Tinder or whatever else, Bumble, Facebook dating, all these dating apps out there, Hinge, you know, and it ultimately comes down to the person. But yeah, I think that's one of the issues that plagues it. And I'm just saying from a man's perspective, like we can devalue women like that, right? Women can do the same thing for men, but I'm just saying on a man's perspective, like it's so easy to be like, okay, screw her. Like I'm going to go do that. And it's like, you know what I mean? But
yeah. I mean, back in the day, you know, there were a little bit more barriers to connection, to where, you know, it kind of forced people to be a little bit more social. You know, you had to go and you had to go get that landline number. You know, but before you even get the number, right, you have to talk to them face to face first, um, or have some type of person to person interaction or so. And I think back in the day, you know, dating was more fruitful just because of that person to person interaction. Whereas, like, you know, they say, you know, it goes down in DMs. Sometimes people reach out to each other on social media, you know, comment sections, whatnot. It's just so many different avenues to connect with people nowadays that sometimes I feel like, you know, the human element of interaction gets lost and all that.
I agree. It's like it's a lot less it's a lot less human. Like it for sure. It definitely takes away from the humanity aspect of it. And when Zach and Kandyce come back, you know, I'll let them add back in too. Here's Zach in here. He's trying to come back in. Um, I would agree. It kind of definitely dehumanizes. There's definitely a dehumanizing element to it for sure. Let me add Zach back in here. Zach, what's up, brother? To bring him back in. I would say just from a man's perspective too, and I can only speak, I can't really speak for women, you know, for women's perspective, but from a man's perspective, a lot of men, and this is kind of their own, I mean, this you have to use your own intuition here. A lot of it is how you're raised and like who you surround yourself with, but a lot of men will get used by women for like things like, you know, you ever hear the thing where you hear like a woman's got to do a guy on her phone as like I don't know, like free dinner or something. Like there's men that get used through these types of things too in this day and age. And that doesn't just dating apps. That's like in general. Women obviously have their pitfalls with men too, 100%. There's a lot of toxic guys out there. There's a lot of unhealed guys out there, and there's a lot of just weirdos in general. And it also goes the other way as well. I'd say a lot of men get frustrated, I think, with their efforts not reciprocated. They might go out or, it like let me make this clear. Like paying for a date doesn't automatically qualify you to, I don't know, like I think some men just think like certain things it qualifies them for. But I'm just saying there's a struggle with a lot of men get used in this culture too. Rob, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on? See what's going on, everybody.
What's up, man? What's up? Like I said, man, we're kind of the guys, but Kandyce was in here for like a second. I think she's gonna be back in. This is kind of her, and it's like the guys. Just the way that the show had ultimately turned out, but we're gonna keep it going, man.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man. So right now we're just talking some of the pitfalls of modern dating. So we're talking from the men's perspective, obviously. Some of the issues that go with modern dating. We were saying from like dating app perspective, it kind of there's like a dehumanizing element to it. So it's the moment, something isn't to your liking, you can easily just go on an app, swipe, match with people, have conversations. This kind of flows into relationships too. And unfortunately, really unfortunately, marriages, people think that there's a plethora of options. This goes men and women. And while that may be the case for like, I'd say, hookups and stuff, actual long-term connection, more so probably not likely. You're just not going to find your Prince Charming or your first person or your queen or whatever, by taking one swipe, you know what I mean? But it's just, there's a dehumanizing element to, I think, the dating culture today.
Yeah, I can agree to that for sure. With dating apps, I don't know if you guys ever looked at the statistics. It showed that now about 60% of people meet online now, compared to in the 1990s it was like 5%. So it's like a big jump of what most common of how people meet, couples meet nowadays. So this is just a trend we're on at the moment. But like you said, there is some repercussions along with that, and I can agree with that.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It is crazy. It is up to 60%, but also at the same time, I guess I'm not fully shocked of like where we're trending. Like I remember I was saying like I think it was like 15 years ago, probably Tinder was starting to come out and stuff like that. It was probably one of the real first mainstream dating apps. And then, there were things like Match.com and other things back in the day, but more so computer-based, browser-based. Now, like phone apps wise, Tinder was probably one of the first ones. And you just see where it's elevated to today. And now people are paying for like different tiers on dating apps. Like you're seeing people that are actually paying for specific tiers to get like certain. It's crazy, man. The world there's a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of crazy things trending. Anna commented in, she said, people have lost the ability to communicate how to date and the concept of intentional dating. I agree. And I think dating apps can actually play into that for sure. Or just in general, it's just, I think people, the way they're wired now when it comes to modern dating, it's just a lot of people don't fully know how to communicate. They're not as intentional.
I agree, man. Even when you said paying for the tiers,
Mm-hmm.
And just to read what Karima, just said,
Yeah.
the good side of dating apps is that you can connect with people in other cities and countries. That's most definitely true.
That's true.
That's true. Wider range of people, but does that devalue the interaction once you have a wider range? That would be my question or my.
It's a good question to a good back and forth there. I'd say too, not in terms of like cities, you could meet somebody that's maybe like say like 45 minutes away from you that you may never have met. You know what I mean? If you didn't live in the same city. So I do agree with that. I'll be honest, I was in a relationship with somebody who was in a different city as well, who I had met, but I probably would have never met that person had it not been for it, to be honest. But it does give you a wider range for sure. I think there's pros and cons that come to that. There's pros and cons for sure,
Right.
that come to both sides of it.
Yeah, I think
So
it's double sided. Like I agree with you, Steve. Definitely double sided. But like Karima was saying, you can meet people from, an hour away, other cities, other counties that you'll probably never meet on your day to day. And that gives you, more of a selection and allows you to, kind of tailor what you want, and not only have to date the people around you. But then at the same time, like we were saying, it causes people to think they got so much options because of the, accessibility of the internet, and it causes people to, not make a choice and kind of just, not be committed and just jump to the next thing.
100%. Everybody thinks they have the next best thing. It's like a shiny toy, man. You know what I mean? It's like the newest iPhone that comes out, or newest pair of Jordans back in the day when people would be standing in line for. It's like everybody sees the new shiny thing, and it's like, yeah, it becomes. That's why there's just so many pros and cons to both. Anna said over here, she said, I have met men who did not match their profiles. For women, we have to be safe on who we meet and where. And that's a completely fair point. And I would agree with that. It's a little bit of a different element for women for sure. You have to be very safe, especially when it comes to online dating. Making sure majority of the time that you're meeting in a public place for the first time, understanding your surroundings. And yeah, that's why there's an MTV show called Catfish. You know what I mean? It's just the people don't match their profiles, or like what they do is it's not even like it's a fake photo of them, but it's like photos from like 5 years ago, like where they don't look the same anymore, they don't match, or people can just lie in their bio about what they like or the type of person they are, or how, you know what I mean? Like it's just they lie about who they are. So you can't get that from a phone screen. You're not going to get that until you meet that person. And even over the phone, you cannot get that. You have to be with the person in person. And I would say it's not all dating apps and modern day dating, but if we're staying on the dating app topic, I would say some people like too, they get in the habit of, you see people that are talking for like, I can't believe on some of these shows like Catfish and stuff, but you see this in real life. There's people that are talking for, a year and like not meeting. They get in like a pen pal phase. It's like you have to actively meet that person. If it's a long distance relationship, those have their own pitfalls too. But if it's a long distance relationship, I guess that's different. But if we're being realistic, like you have to be able to meet with someone to really connect. You can talk on the phone and do all that, but you have to be able to share each other's company. That was how old school dating was too. You approach, like a lot of times it'd be a man pursuing a woman. A man's gonna pursue that woman. Like me and Rich were saying before you came on, Rob. Like you have to get the phone number, you have to get their landline number. They're not even a cell phone. You had to approach that woman and pursue her
in person.
And, yeah,
in person.
Yeah,
I do have a question though for you guys, like in terms of taking away that element now online date of meeting in person initially. We've already had some people comment and, hey, I've met this person online, I saw them in person, they did not look like anything of what they put out online. Now, can I ask you all, do you think that the online dating has affected how much we value in-person interactions for some? Do you think it's helped us realize how important the in-person interactions are?
This
Just
is a
kinda get
good question, man. It's a good question. This actually, I can kind of link this to attachment styles too, man. You know what I mean? I can actually put this into an attachment style type of thing. I'll read Karima's question first, though, or not her question. Her comment here. She said, "Yeah, AI is going to take online dating to another level in ChatGPT." Yeah, that's the scariest part about it is people are going to be using ChatGPT to text each other. You know what I mean? They're going to be using AI to go through and like text each other, which is like
That's wild.
It's crazy. Then you're gonna meet that person in real life, and you're gonna be like, "Who the hell was the person I was talking to? Like, this isn't the same person." Because you can't look at your phone and get notes on ChatGPT as you're on a real date. It just doesn't work like that. So you get to see the real person. That's why meeting in person is so intentional. Because people can do that over the phone too. They could be on ChatGPT as they're on a phone call. Even on FaceTime, you could have something in the background. That's why it's so important to also connect in person. Because that's actually a really good point, Karima, about AI and ChatGPT and all that. Yeah, it's going to get really, really crazy. This is just it's ChatGPT and all this is just touching the surface of like where AI is just kind of touching the surface. But this is pros and cons of this stuff that comes with it for sure. Pros and cons. But Rich, I'll actually go back to your point too. You were saying about what was it? I'm sorry, man. Can you actually just put the question back out that you had, or like the comment that you had?
Yeah, no worries.
Hey, Steven. I just want to say thank you for having me on. Right now I'm not able to like really talk, so
Okay.
I might be able to listen, but I've been cutting in and out on the internet. I'm at Costco right now, and I'm running a few errands.
All right. Yeah, Zach, no problem, man. Yo, I don't want you to have to force it, man. If you can't fully like talk or anything like that. Yeah, man. Feel free to just listen, bro. I got you, man.
All right, sounds good.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, my question. So my question was like, because a lot of things are happening in terms of online, meeting people online more so than in person, like the statistics Rob pointed out, does this, like, in your opinions, I'm just trying to get you all your personal opinions. Do you feel like, and the audience too, do you feel like having to meet online, or that a lot of the primary avenues, since they are online, of meeting, does that make you value in-person interaction or dating more, or do you feel like you're kind of leaning more toward depending on the online thing to kind of, because it's the thing now, unfortunately. I mean, unfortunately for me anyway, I don't really like it. I like to meet people in person. That's just me, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'd weigh in a couple different ways with this. So I would say in terms of I think online dating can be beneficial if you're really, really busy. Like you're a really busy person where you work a lot and you don't have a lot of hours to go out and like meet people. You can meet people, to be honest, in any walk. You could be in the grocery store, you can meet any kind of anywhere, right? But I think it does give a good avenue for that. But I think that it's good to get off the dating apps pretty quick, like and be able to have an interaction in person, set a date as men, set a date, be intentional, and then see it. But you know what I mean, and be able to move something forward. I think that that's very important. But I think it can be good. But I would say I value me personally, like I value in person more than just talking over an app. You know what I mean? Obviously, but everybody's different. If I go to attachment theory here, avoidant people might want to meet, like not put off meeting somebody. They might want to, you know, talk more over a screen or talk more on the phone and not be triggered or meet in person. It really, your attachment styles. Anxious people might be the opposite, where it's like they, we'll get into attachment theory, but anxious attachers are going to tend to be more clingy and want to be around their person all the time. You got securely attached people too, who understand the value of space, but they also understand the value of connection and being with those people too. But I would say for me, I value more in person. So it's great to build rapport. You can text, you can be on the phone, you can talk, you can call, FaceTime, whatever. But I think nothing really beats in person, in my opinion. In terms of meeting in person, that's great. Like I think it's a especially I think for men, pursuing women in person is something that has really declined for sure. A lot of it is dating app now, but I think that dating apps can be beneficial if you struggle to have the time to be out. You know what I mean? Like, or like in settings where you can meet, from a man's perspective, meet women, you know, that's my thought process on it.
I guess I'll chime in. Yeah, I personally think that I myself value in person. All my past relationships was with meeting the woman in person. But I do see the reasoning with dating apps and can understand it. Um, I do think dating apps is very efficient. It's kind of like having a, something like a dating, like you're out there dating 24 hours because like your profile is out there 24 hours running 7 days a week. So from an efficiency standpoint, it's very efficient. I can understand why guys go that route. As you can see with the trends, that's why like 60% now is more online dating. A lot of men don't really, do things in person as much because you don't have to do as much effort. You don't risk rejection. And like they were saying, your profile is constantly running 24 hours a day. So I can understand why a lot of men go that route. But like Steve said, it's still in some ways it kind of like devalues a person. The when it comes to dating, it devalues the humans in this interaction because a lot of times the women can't get a sense of who you are. They only can see your looks. So a lot of men are actually kind of losing going that route because women are a little bit different from men. They don't just, get checked off by looks. Yes, looks are important, but a lot of times you can win over a woman with more than just your looks, your energy, your bravado, your confidence. And a lot of men are kind of losing going that route because they are not able to do that with a dating profile. It's just your looks. So the woman is just looking at your looks and really has nothing else to go off of. So I think in some ways it's efficient and I understand why guys go that route and like it makes sense, less effort. Like a lot of us men, we don't want to put as much effort. And I can understand that. Like seriously, I could definitely understand that. So it's less effort, but I myself value in person, but I think the trend is gonna continue to be online because, like I said, it's easier. 60% of people meet. The kind of the environment we're in right now with men and women can also is affecting that too. So a lot of men don't really want to approach and bother women because of the environment sometimes and like sometimes the crazy standards of women. So I can understand where a lot of men are kind of shifting that route towards online. But like I said, me personally, I'm always, I'm in the field. If I see some, I'm pulling up in person. That's just me though.
Right. I agree with you, man. Anna has said online dating has been the way to date as men do not approach. A lot have assumed I was taken in person interactions have become very important in dating. The first meetup should be a priority. Yeah, no, it's 100%. That's why I said it's important to get off the dating apps like relatively quickly and be able to build a connection in person. I think that's very, very important. Um, and yeah, I would say online dating definitely has been the way. I would say less men approach, but I would I guess say fully that and I don't think that's what you meant, but that all men do not approach because men
Yeah, it's
do.
less. Yeah,
But
of course.
it's
Yeah.
a lot less than what we've seen in the past for sure. And like Rob said, like it's just the convenience of it. Somebody can be just laying in their bed scrolling and getting matches and boom, and it could be like 12 o'clock midnight. Meanwhile, they're just laying in bed scrolling up and just like getting matches. It's crazy. I think a lot of things that come with these dating apps too is validation, matching and just talking, and some of these interactions don't go anywhere. But Rob, you made a great point in terms of a lot of men, if you're not naturally like a handsome guy, like right off the bat, you might really lose out with opportunities because of the fact that on dating apps, you're right, like how women see men, it's a little different. All they have to go off of is looks. So if you aren't able to have a solid interaction with that person, which would be in person, like an interaction, it can really disqualify a lot of men. Now, men that are like naturally handsome, of course, they can still get matches, they can get, dates and all that stuff. But if you're not a naturally handsome guy, you're not naturally blessed, say, you're not, you don't have like, naturally good looks, it can really, it can be a detriment for a lot of those guys. They lose out for sure.
Yeah, and you're competing with a lot because on dating apps, it's majority men. If you look
Yeah.
at the percentages, and then most of the men are going for the beautiful women on the app, and those women are getting blown up. Like I've dated girls when they show me their app, I'm just like, my goodness, like you scroll, you're scrolling through all these mess. Like, oh my gosh, like how do you keep up with that? And the funny
Right.
thing, I approached her in person, and then she's on a date with me, but all those guys are messaging her, waiting for her to message.
Wow.
So it's kind of like you're at a disadvantage. It's crazy.
100%, and you can't make that good impression, over the app. You can't. Here's the thing: you can be funny, you can be clever, but I think I've also heard people using like audio messages now and different things, so they can actually use their voice, which is unique. But like you still just can't make the same impression that you would make in person because a woman gets to see your body language, she gets to see your attitude. You know what I mean? She gets to see more of you to make that impression. So from a man's perspective, for sure, this is good stuff. I think there's detriments and pros to the dating app game, but I also think that there's a lot of pros that come with the pursuit game too. Some guys just love the pursuit too. They love to pursue. So it's like, yo, that's a good thing if you're a man who just likes to, not saying like, once you find your lady and stuff, that's the woman you want to be with. But I'm just saying like it builds a sense of confidence too for a man to be able to do that. It's kind of like a lost art, like a lost skill for a man to just go up and approach a woman with confidence.
Yeah, I
It
mean, in
builds confidence.
some settings is taboo too. It's seen as taboo depending on what setting you're in socially. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it you know, I'm finding a little. So I'll give you an example. Maybe you're at the gym, right? Some people at the gym, we're focused on ourselves. We're focused on building our bodies. It's not really our setting to do that. Some people can do both, and then some people can't. And so they become like in the gym, it becomes this approachable versus non-approachable person. You really don't know if it's all the way okay, and then you have people nowadays on social media who are like recording people, maybe, I'm sure you've seen some, and I don't mean, I'm not here to pick on the ladies, but this is a fact. I've seen this with the ladies. Sometimes they'll be doing workouts and things like that, and they'll be filming, and then they'll have a guys in the background who is maybe just kind of looking around, and then they'll say, "Oh, this guy's looking at me. He's checking me out." He's so like it's gonna make men not want to approach women too much in the gym because socially it's gonna be like, okay, is this gonna be flipped on me? Is it gonna be like I'm a creep because I'm coming up and just having normal conversation? Because sometimes it would be like someone will ask, "Hey, listen, are you still using that weight or something?" And then even that, social media can take that and turn that person into, oh, this person's a creep. Why they're coming up to me while I'm working out at the gym, and that'll be all over social media. It'll turn into a firestorm. So I've seen stuff like this before. So certain climates, some people aren't going to want to approach, women, in certain environments, and even men. I've seen men get agitated with women in the gym when they're working out and a woman is approaching them. Sometimes it happens, like it's, you know, and they guy will get agitated and be like, "Hey, listen, I'm focused on myself. You get out of my face right now." So I think people see stuff like that on social media and it kind of deters. So, and I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm just speaking for a certain particular group of people that may have had experiences where they socially did go up to people and it was turned into a negative thing. So that could be very discouraging for people.
Very true.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
can
agree.
agree with that, with Rich. Like I said earlier, kind of the context and kind of the current environment between men and women, and how kind of social media plays a part in that as well. Like I guess some men will see on like on TikTok, women be like, "Oh, don't approach me, don't talk to me," or they hate men, or we choose the bear. Like I don't know if you guys see that all the time. So like a lot of men, they take that, personally, and they're like, "Oh," so that's kind of affecting the climate. But then some women are saying, "Hey, no, that wasn't me who said that. That was another girl." So it's kind of like confusing at the same time. It's like one woman is trying to represent all women, but she's not representing all women. So I think this is the climate that's kind of affecting that. So a lot of guys are kind of like, "All right, I'm just going to shift online."
Yeah,
So
and I think that's what comes with the internal, right? And a lot of guys struggle with this, but just being able to handle rejection, being able to handle it and be comfortable with it. You know what I mean? And just understanding that all you can do is shoot your shot and approach. And what's the worst that can happen? She tells you no. I mean, yeah, I think some men will get afraid that a woman will make a scene or something will happen or they'll get embarrassed. But you know, that's why it's important, I'd say, internally, to be confident. You know what I mean? And that's easier said than done. It's a skill. It takes time to build that. I think you build that by carrying out your life a specific way, living life, going back to a few prior episodes, living life very intentionally, being comfortable with who you are, and understanding that someone else's choice of you doesn't define your worth. So just understanding that and being comfortable. But yeah, no, 100%. Like you've seen also men try to approach a woman who's with her friends. Put that scenario out there. And especially if the other woman is jealous, the other friends, if they're single or something, they might try to sabotage that, or you get blown up, or it's just like right on the spot, it's try to embarrass you or something. You know what I mean? That's a thing too. There's men that might see like, wow, that girl's really attractive. I'd love to approach her, but then she's with her friends. Like, hey, how's that reaction gonna go? If I approach her, she could be into the guy, but then like the friends could come along and try to, sabotage it. So you see that as well. That's another scenario.
That's true. And I 100%, guys, I agree with all the aspects, everything that you guys are saying. With the confidence, alongside with the confidence, I will add, with the confidence, you have to have a sense of discernment too, because there is such thing as overconfidence. So you don't want to have that confidence to the point where you're not discerning. Okay, maybe this is not a person who I should approach. Like let's see, is this person, because you have to discern, right, who is trying to, like, women have the nonverbals, right? Women are really great with nonverbals and body language and facial expressions and things of that nature. And so for men, we're not telling you, hey, just go approach anybody. What's the worst that can happen? I'm just trying to clarify. Steve's not saying that. Steve is saying, hey, have the confidence to approach who you need to approach, but within normal limits, of course. And so yeah, I just wanted to add that little tidbit on there, just in case I didn't want to, have people going up to anybody, because y'all are in Philly, so it just ain't for everybody, y'all. I'm just letting y'all know that
Yeah,
right now.
Nah,
yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
that's definitely important. You got to use discernment for sure. Give you an example. You were saying the gym. A woman's got her hat all the way down and her headphones in, and she's going in on her workout. Probably not a good opportunity to approach a woman. That you can tell that she's focused. She's focused on what she's doing. She's probably not in the mood to be approached at that moment. You know what I mean? It's just, I agree. You use your discernment, and everybody's discernment is going to be different, but try to use those. I would say sometimes women will give, that's the thing. Sometimes it isn't always this easy though. Sometimes women will give men choosing signals. You know what I mean? What I mean by that is like eye contact, yeah, and you know what I mean, eye contact more than once, and that's kind of like more of a layup for you. It gives you the opportunity to approach, but that doesn't always happen. She might not even notice you, but then you approach her. You know what I mean? It depends. It really
Yeah,
depends. The scenario is not always so cut and dry, black and white.
yeah. To add on what Rich was saying, I think I agree 100%. Like it should be definitely have some discernment on who you approach up to, but at the same time, women don't always give you the signals. Some women hide it. Like I've had a girl I talked to, and she told me like she liked me, and I'm like I had no idea. Like you just give me this mean look all the time. So it's just like at the same time, I think like while
Yeah,
you're using your discernment, if you really want somebody, hey, if you're respectful about it, and you want that person, you want to talk to them, just do it. Like,
yeah,
what do you got to lose? You
right,
miss. But if you make it, you win something. You get
right,
something that you want.
right.
So, yeah, I
Yeah, man.
definitely think like definitely analyze the situation. Like, I definitely don't recommend pulling up like right behind the girl late at night. Like, that's what
No
guys got to work on their social. You got to work on your social. It's a skill. You got to work on it.
social cues. Yeah.
See, understand it, but at the same time, you don't want to overanalyze. You just want to go for
Mm-mm.
what you want, and
Mm-hmm.
then work out and work out. There's always another train coming, another offer on the table. So
Yep. Yep. Another deal, right? Like it's like
yeah,
another deal coming
always
along. Yep.
another deal. Always.
Yep. I know
So
we were talking about that. Yep. No, that's the truth though, man. Yeah, because sometimes you get in your head too much. You overthink it, and too that could
yeah,
happen if you discern it.
right,
You overthink it,
right.
and it's not always like that. And you're right. Some women, they're more guarded. Like they might like you, but like they're more so like they give you that kind of like little hostile vibe. But sometimes it's because they like you and they're a little guarded on that. It's like, yeah, so they could have past hurts, whatever. But it's like Rob said, what do you realistically have to lose if the woman isn't interested in interacting with you and you're respectful about it? She'll just tell you, look, I'm not interested. Boom, you keep going. You can walk away and there's no, as long as you're respectful about it. And like Rob said, yeah, definitely don't tell you to approach a woman. Definitely not at night. I would actually say during the day too, be careful where you come from. Don't just
Even
come
the
up behind
day,
someone. You know what I mean? You got to be very careful about
y'all in Philly, so they might have that
Yeah,
thing on them even during the day. You never, it's like, nah,
you
but
you might you might
No, for
just get
sure.
maced.
they might get something. Listen,
You might get
definitely the
maced,
part
man.
you said, you do not ever approach nobody from behind.
Yeah, don't ever
Like,
come up. Don't ever come and say this podcast told you to go approach a woman from behind. That's definitely not what we're saying over
Yeah,
here.
please don't. Please don't.
yo,
Me
one thing that
personally, I like to establish some type of eye contact first, then I'll go.
Yeah.
That's the
I
only way I'm pulling. I'm not coming up from behind.
I agree, definitely.
Oh
One
man.
thing for some people who may not know or not familiar with this, um, attachment styles, right? Like the definition.
Mhm.
I just want to get into the books, right, of what that is.
So
So
important.
the book definition of attachment styles, or types, reflect how you behave in romantic relationships and are based on the emotional connection you formed as an infant with your primary caregiver, often your mother. Um, so this was pioneered by British psychiatrist John Bowlby and American psychologist Mary Ainsworth. It's the quality of the bonding you experience during your first relationship, and often determines how well you relate to other people and respond to intimacy throughout life. So I mean, this opens up a whole thing of questions here, because everyone has had different childhoods, right? Everyone has had different
Mhm.
experiences growing up. Now, on top of that, you got to throw in the cultural aspects of that. So, guys, is there anything that you guys want to dive into, or that you're
Um, yeah, man. I mean, I can start it. I can tell you guys. This is a great opening, Rich. What I would say, when it comes to attachment styles, there's four primary ones. There's people that say, have chopped it into more than that, but I would say, the main four that you're going to see when you see attachment styles are, um, there's three that are considered insecure attachment styles, and then there's one that's considered a secure attachment style. Secure attachment style is what it is. That is what it's called. It's called secure attachment style. It's a securely attached person, which is what people who are insecurely attached, which is the majority of the population, are striving to become securely attached. So securely attached is number one. Number two is, so this is going into the insecure attachment styles, anxious attachment style. Number three is the dismissive avoidant attachment style, which is the opposite of the anxious attachment. And then you have the fearful or disorganized fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment, which is like a pendulum swing. It's kind of anxious and it's kind of avoidant. So you see a little bit of both in those. But anxious is like, from a basic standpoint, very clingy, very needy, needs their reassurance from their partner consistently. I would actually even not even try to say needy because that can be triggering for some people, but I'll be honest, like very, very much needs reassurance from their partner, likes to probably be around their partner a lot. Dismissive avoidance is usually they really like their independence. So, but they don't have like independence is important, but a securely attached individual understands the importance of the balance between independence and quality time with their partner. Whereas a dismissively avoidant is more so they could go weeks or months without seeing their partner and not care. So it's like they value that independence. Fearful avoidant is a little bit different. That's a whole nother other thing, but it's like that's somebody who kind of craves that intimacy. They crave that closeness from their partner, but they also push it away. So it can be very confusing. I don't know if I
um,
missed anything there, Rich, but
yeah, no, if you want, man, I can get into the definitions I have here in front of me if you
sure,
want to get
sure,
into the
man.
book, and just so that everyone knows, no confusion or
Mhm.
anything. So secure, like you said, it's a having a secure that attachment style. It doesn't mean you're perfect. By the way, or you or you don't experience relationship problems. So yeah, you likely feel secure enough to take responsibility for your own mistakes, failings, and are willing to seek help and support when you need it. So you appreciate your own self worth. You find satisfaction in being with others openly. Seek support and comfort from your partner, but you don't get overly anxious, right? When you are apart from your partner. You're similarly, excuse me, happy for your partner to rely on for your support as well. So you're there for them equally as they are there for you. Able to maintain emotional balance and seek healthy ways to manage conflict. And also, when faced with disappointment, setbacks, or misfortune in your relationships, you are still resilient enough to bounce back from that, right? So that is the secure attachment style. Um, is there anything in any particular order? Do you want to go over, Steve? You want to go over anxious or the other in any particular order?
No particular order, man. We can just, whatever way you want to go.
So anxious attachment style. If you have an anxious or ambivalent attachment style, you may be embarrassed about being too clingy, or your constant need for love and attention. You may feel worn down by fear or anxiety about whether your partner really loves you. You want to be in a relationship and crave feelings of closeness and intimacy with your significant other, but struggle to
Hmm.
feel that you can trust or fully rely on your partner.
Right.
Being in an intimate relationship tends to take over your life, and you become overly fixated on the other person.
Hmm.
You may find it
Yeah.
difficult to observe boundaries, viewing space between you two as a threat, something that can provoke panic, anger, or fear. A lot of your sense or self worth rests on how you feel you're being treated within that relationship.
There's a core wound that comes with these two. So the core wound for the anxious attacher is a fear of abandonment. Anxious attachers typically have a fear of abandonment.
There you go. I was just
Starts
about to
start,
get into
yeah,
that. Yeah,
starts right from childhood too. Most of the time.
yeah. Fear or jealousy went away
Hmm.
from your partner. Yeah, most definitely.
Hmm.
Needing that consistent reassurance from your partner, and people may mention or criticize you for being too clingy on that one. So that's anxious attachment. Um, there's also the avoidant or dismissive
Hmm.
attachment style. So avoidant or dismissive, insecure attachment style is the complete opposite of the anxious, right?
Yeah.
So, someone with an avoidant or dismissive attachment style, you tend to find it difficult to tolerate emotional intimacy.
Hmm.
Um, you value your independence and freedom to the point where you feel uncomfortable with the intimacy or closeness romantically, being with someone else. Um, so you're content, you care for yourself, you're independent. That's good. Those are good things. But it becomes, more so avoidant or dismissive when the more someone tries to get close to you, or you know the factors of your partner's needs come into play. You tend to withdraw a little bit. You're uncomfortable with your emotions, and partners often accuse these people of being distant or closed off. Um, yeah, so you may prefer fleeting casual relationships if you're, a dismissive, avoidant
Hmm.
attachment. So you don't need the closeness. You don't really want the intimacy. You don't really let people get close. Um, and so, yeah. The last one that I'm just gonna go over real quick is the disorganized or disoriented attachment style. So
Yeah.
this is, referred to as fearful or avoidant. Stems for intense fear, result of childhood trauma, neglect, or abuse. Adults with the style of insecure attachment tend to feel like they don't deserve love or closeness in a relationship. Um, Disorganized attachment style, you've likely never learned to self-soothe your emotions. So relationships in the world around you can feel unsafe.
Hmm.
You probably find intimate relationships confusing and unsettling, um, swinging between one emotional extreme to the other.
Yeah.
You may be insensitive towards your partner, selfish, controlling, and untrusting, which can lead to explosive or abusive behavior. May exhibit antisocial or negative behavior patterns, abuse alcohol, drugs, or prone to aggression or violence. Others may despair at your refusal to take responsibility in your actions. You crave security and safety of a meaningful, intimate relationship, but you also feel unworthy of love and
Mm.
terrified of getting hurt again. Last thing I'll add for this one, your childhood may have been shaped by abuse,
Yep.
neglect, trauma.
Yep. That's a good point. And I'd say going to the core wounds we said for the anxious attachers, the fear of abandonment. If dismissive avoidant, it's kind of like fear of engulfment, fear of closeness. And then the dismissive avoidant, to break it down for you. I mean, not the fearful avoidant for you, the disorganized attachment. That's kind of like they have core wounds of both. They have a core wound of the fear of abandonment and the fear of closeness. So it's kind of like they want that closeness, but then they also say, nah, push it away. Is find it difficult to trust. I think that one's one of the more confusing ones because it can kind of come off as somebody who's bipolar when really it's just they have trauma from their past that triggers both wounds, which gives them that attachment style. But Rich, that's great, man. You broke it down pretty in depth, man. For sure. I guess what I would say is I want to just give some notes that I had here for common signs for each one that you can see in adulthood, so you can see like how these manifest. So I'll just do I'll start with the insecure ones, and then I'll just do secure at the end. So the common signs that I've seen for, let me say, an anxious attacher in adulthood. So this is what I saw from research, and some of these are personal experience. So in adulthood, you'll see it as it's somebody who's often experiencing anxiety or worrying about their relationships. They desire closeness and intimacy, but they also have fear of rejection and abandonment. You tend to become very clingy and needy with your partner when they're unavailable or unresponsive, even if it's for a short period of time. You frequently seek that reassurance from your partner and may become very jealous when they do interact with other people, even if it's platonically. You face challenges in effectively expressing your needs and emotions within the relationships that you have. You find yourself frequently questioning your partner's true love for you. For the avoidance style, how it kind of manifests into adulthood, you find it really difficult to allow yourself to ever depend on other people. It feels like people are often not there when you need them. You find it very challenging to trust others openly and completely. You may somewhat feel uncomfortable being close to others. You tend to get very nervous when anybody gets too close to you inside your circle. And in romantic relationships, your partner often wants to be more intimate with you than you are comfortable with as a dismissive avoidant. So now the fearful avoidant one, you find it really difficult to allow yourself, again, to depend on others. It goes to part of the dismissive avoidant. You tend to feel that people aren't there for you when you need them. Trusting others is something you really, really struggle with. Being close to others can also make you very uncomfortable. You tend to get really nervous when anybody gets too emotionally close to you. And in romantic relationships, your partners often want you to be more intimate, kind of this like dismissive one, than you are comfortable with. You experience extreme mood swings for no reason, which is why I said that can come off as bipolar. And people sometimes they kind of misdiagnose somebody. They're like, oh, they're bipolar because, that's how it shows up. But really, it could just be trauma that causes that from childhood. And then in securely attached, you feel at ease. You're comfortable with allowing to rely on others for support, and while also maintaining your independence at the same time. You have confidence that others will offer their assistance when you do need it. You're confident in people and you believe the good in people. You rarely fret about the possibility of abandonment inside your life because you're comfortable with yourself. Establishing those close connections with others, it comes naturally to you. You don't frequently concern yourself with the idea of somebody being too emotionally close to you. You're comfortable with it, and you're at ease with the idea of relying on others for your support. So that's how it manifests into like adulthood there. So majority of the population is insecurely attached, but the goal is to obviously become securely attached. That's what everybody should want to work towards. But how you were raised, how you were brought up really affects these things. Like if you had a father who walked out on you and your family, you may have a fear of abandonment, which kind of brings to that anxious attacher. Maybe if you were a baby and you had inconsistent caregivers, your mother and father, sometimes they gave you love. And then other times they're like, get the hell out of my face. Or they just, as a baby, they didn't take care of you, they didn't soothe you. But at the same time, other times maybe they did. So it's like a mix. You don't know what to expect from people, which is where that pendulum swing comes. And if dismissive avoidant, you might have just been completely like, you know what I mean? You might have just had too much, like you were dismissed as a child. So if you're dismissed, like what I mean by that is like, we're not going to talk about our problems, go to your room and shut up, and we're not going to repeat it. You know what I mean? Like if you have a family that stonewalls, you have a family that doesn't talk about things, they sweep things under the rug. A lot of that can manifest as dismissive avoidance. If you come from a healthy background where families talk about their problems, they understand that you can trust each other, you can rely on one another. A lot of those people grow up to be securely attached. Our relationships also affect this as well. If we've been in traumatic relationships where our partner didn't meet our needs, you could be securely attached. And then you could become insecurely attached because you dealt with a partner that was not healed as well. So these things can also come from relationships too. But there's a lot of trauma in this world out there. A lot of it. So it's very big to understand it. It's very important.
I agree, man. Thank you for the breakdown.
Yeah, man. But it's just Yeah, so if you're securely attached, you can understand how to rely on other people, you know. And it's just that's the thing. That's why I say these things are so important, like through therapy and other ways to really be able to work on these things. It's really, really important, you know. But not everybody is also so self-aware too. They might not understand until they they realize like they sabotage specific things in their life, then they might recognize these things, but not everybody is self-aware of these issues too, you know. Requires a
Agreed.
certain level of self-awareness.
I think a large amount of people are not self-aware. Like I feel like that's why therapy is starting to become more and more popular because people have their partners and they have family issues, so many family issues, especially with the social environment that COVID, excuse me, has put us in for a
Yeah.
time being away from the general population or not in big crowds or groups of people or big gatherings. I think that it's kind of forced people to kind of look at things face value and that's going on in their own household. And you start to go,
Facts.
wow, you know what I mean?
No, it's facts. I would say too in this day and age, man, this is a world of trauma, man. There's just so much trauma out there. And I feel like people are just consistently triggering one another. So you can, like I said, you could meet somebody securely attached. You meet somebody, I mean, no, you are securely attached. You meet somebody who's not securely attached. They have a specific core wound, comes from childhood or a past relationship. That person hasn't healed that trauma. They meet somebody who's securely attached. That person gets out of that relationship and now they have a specific level of trauma. Boom, they don't heal. They go meet somebody else. It's like a chain. That's why I say in this day and age, this isn't even a joke, but it's just honestly therapy, like is so prevalent today. But therapists make a killing because it's just there's a lot of trauma in this world, and it's just there's a lot of it. And people who come from secure backgrounds, that's fantastic and that's great. But there's a lot of people that don't come from secure backgrounds. They don't come from households where their mother and father were both present. And even if they were, maybe they were abusive. And that doesn't have to just mean physically abusive. It could be emotionally abusive. They could have been emotionally cold. And if they didn't provide that nurturing support that you needed growing up, it can be really troublesome if you don't heal
Yeah,
from it or not and aren't self-aware.
yeah, and I think self-awareness is key when it comes to dating and relationships,
Mm-hmm.
because we have to remember we have two human beings trying to come together, you know, for a mission, whether to create a family, create love or whatever that is. And two human beings are completely different trying to come together. So
Yep.
being self-aware of who you are is so important, so you can know who you can match up with. Like it's just, I think that's so important because when you don't know who you are, you don't know what you can be compatible with or match up with. And a lot of times we just go off our feelings. So, oh, that person looks good or that person makes me feel good. But over the long term, feelings are not going to sustain, you know, a marriage or relationship. It's just so much more than that. There's values, there's compatibility, so much more that comes into play. So I think being self-aware of who you are, your faults, your strengths, what you bring to the table, what you match up with, is very important. So then when you select your partner, you can find somebody that complements you. They're not going to be the same as you because nobody going to be the same as you. But the key word is complement, meaning they complement who you are. They add on to you are. They sync up with who you are. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what people are missing. Um, at least when it comes to when it comes to dating, is we just going off of how they make me feel, how that person looks. And I think that's very important to really think about who you are and what works with you and whether they're compatible with you.
For the long term, yep. It was 100%. Because this is such a vibes culture, such a feelings culture. It's like, yeah, of course you should feel, you should have good feelings with your partner, but it's like that's not all it is. If you're looking for a long term relationship, you're looking to get married, commit, spend the rest of your life with somebody, you really have to figure that out. And I agree with Rob there. If you can lay all your cards on the table by understanding who you are, have those conversations with your partner so you can understand who they are, flaws and all, because we all have flaws, understanding the flaws, understanding the positives, and being able to come together. Like Rob said, there's nobody that's going to be just like you, and you actually don't really want somebody who is exactly like you. You don't want that.
You don't want that.
You don't want that because you're going to have flaws and you're going to have downsides, and you want a partner, like Rob said, that can complement you. So you guys both have strengths and weaknesses. We actually talked about that last week in leadership versus headship, biblical leadership. But we were saying a lot of times people think a leader is like a dictator. No, a leader is somebody who can understand as a man, like that there's areas that their woman have strengths in, you don't have strengths in. You can allow your woman to take leads in specific areas. Maybe your woman is good. I don't know. Like it's like that, whatever area. Like it's like, hey, like she has knowledge in this. Hey, I'm gonna let her make those types of decisions. And guess what? Right. As a man, I'm gonna handle these decisions. And a real man and a real leader who a man who's comfortable with himself, who's confident in himself, but also is a true leader. He is able to he's comfortable with himself to allow his woman to do that. Like when you turn into a dictator role, I think a lot of that turns from insecurity. But that's from the last episode. But Rob made a great point. You're trying to look for your complement, but being able to have these conversations, laying all your cards on the table, understanding each other, that's very important. And that's going to be the real test in terms of a long-term relationship in marriage. I always say, like, if you're going to marry somebody, you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody. People always think that it's easy. Like, oh, it should feel easy. It should feel easy. I think chemistry, I think compatibility, that should come naturally. You know, you should feel like that person is your best friend. Like you guys, you know what I mean? You guys are compatible in different levels. I'm talking physically, emotionally, you know, spiritually, you guys are aligned. Sure, that should come easily. That shouldn't be hard. But I'm going to talk in terms of like long-term, true love and real spending your life with somebody. That's hard. There's going to be a lot of seasons where you guys probably want to rip your heads off, but you find the person that you're willing to wake up next to every day, even through all the fights, all the battles, all the flaws, and guess what? To do it all over again with and to work through it. That's what really is the real test. You know, and that's when you find that person, that's special. But like, I think we get so accustomed in this day and age, you know, it's like, oh, it should be easy. Oh, if this, you know, like, everything should be easy. No, it's really not. You know, people who've been married for 50 years, you can imagine the challenges they've probably gone through in those 50 years they were together. Like a ton. Right. It makes you stronger though.
And even with those long marriages, you can, while it's not foolproof, you can always see the compatibility between, you know, the husband and the wife. Like my parents, they're still married, and I can see how they're compatible and how they kind of complement each other. Like my mother's super fiery. She's a high energy, super fiery woman. And my dad's more calm, nimble processor, smart guy, just real calm, able to, you know, organize a little bit. And they complement each other. Like my mom, she will plan the vacation, she'll get things moving. If we wait on my dad to do that, nothing will move because he's too slow. He would sit and think too much. But my mom is just like fiery, moving together. And like, imagine they both are fiery, high energy personalities. They'd be fighting all the time.
It'd be horrible.
Crazy. It'd be fire in the house. But yeah, so I just see how they complement each other.
That's a good point, man. Sense. It was a good point, man. I actually would say the same for my mother and my father. My mom is definitely more the, you know, the latter type, the more fiery, the more aggressive. My dad's more lax and low key, and he's not a super confrontational like type of person. He's more I'm gonna control the situation type of, hey, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I'm more, you know what I mean? But my mom is definitely, yeah, if you have both of them, if you have two fiery people, it's gonna be like button heads, like, yeah, it's gonna be fighting. Like, and if you have two people that are the opposite of that, nothing's gonna get done. So it's you 100%, you need the balance for sure. You need that balance. That's so important.
Yeah, I agree, man. I definitely agree. My parents are very similar to Rob's parents as well. Dad low key, mom was fiery and things of that nature. But I did want to kind of poke at what you guys are saying because I want to play the devil's advocate right now. I feel like we're agreeing too much, so I want to play devil's advocate and ask you guys.
All right, man, spark it up.
Do you think the subculture, because you said find that special person, right? Find that person who, you know, things may not be perfect, but I want to wake up next to this person. Do you think that our subcultures, right? And I'm talking about within the manosphere, and I'm talking about within the realms of, you know, post, I guess, 1990s feminism. Because both sides are telling each other, you know, both sides say women do this, men do this, men are the same, women are the same. You know, it's a subculture. That a lot of men, you know, that we see, and a lot of women they see that, and it, with men it's the red pill, and I think with women it's just like popular culture of within the feminism of popular culture, and you know, especially on the, you know, liberal side of things, not to get political, but that is the side of the spear that says, hey, you know, listen, we don't listen to anybody. We're going to make our own decisions. We're in control of our own thing. We're doing our own thing. There is no labels of gender. There is no labels of, you know, there's gender roles, but they don't, you know, this side of the culture does not want to acknowledge that, hey, listen, there's a biological aspect. Some elements of that side, not all. I don't want to generalize, but with the manosphere and then the women on their side saying, hey, listen, men do XYZ, all men are the same. Men on this side, women do XYZ, women are all the same as well. In terms of that within our culture, do you think that that will be a hindrance, or do you how significant of a hindrance do you think the subcultures of the red pill or the subcultures of the, you know, extreme feminism are?
I think I'll start. I think it'll be a hindrance for sure, a pretty big one. But I think when it comes to that, you start to because the ideologies, it's like a lot of feminism, and then there's a lot of red pill content too that talks. Feminism comes what like men ain't shit, can't trust men, and then the opposite is a lot of men out there saying, things like she ain't yours, it's just your turn. You know what I mean? Like just things like that. You got both sides of it, and I think it comes from hurt. It comes from trauma. There were probably women who were burnt by men. Maybe they didn't have a father figure in the household. Father walked out, whatever. And that leads them to believe that men are shit. And then you got men who were probably had their heart broken by a woman. They a pretty bad heartbreak, and then they turn into they don't know how to regulate, and they push that onto any other woman they go out with, right? So, Rich, that's actually a really good point. I appreciate you actually bringing that up. I think it is a pretty significant hindrance in this day and age. I do. That's why when you're dating, it's very important to vet. You can vet and still, I feel like you're always vetting, but you really have to. These are important conversations to have, so you understand. Like I'll say, from a man's perspective, what a woman's view is, because if she has feministic views, especially if they're strong feminism views, like hatred towards men, and you hear how they talk, you hear how maybe they talk about their father, or you hear how they talk about other male family members in their life, or even how they talk about their exes. You kind of get a view, you get a kind of a scope of how they view men. And I think that's an important thing to really look for too when you're choosing your woman and dating your woman, and I can only speak from the man's perspective. I can't put words in any women's mouth or speak from one's mouth, but I would say women should do the same and see how men view women. Cause they say, oh, like it's easy to say every man's a narcissist or he's misogynist and all this other stuff. But, maybe the man really is, but it's something as a woman to look for, when you're having a conversation, when you're starting to meet a man. Women also vet and they look at their men, but I can only speak from the man's perspective. But that's what I would say is you really have to vet and see how they view men in general in their life.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yeah, what's up, Dante, man? Thanks for joining, brother. Tiz.
Money, fuck bitches.
Okay.
I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing. I feel like this is this is something that's crazy. I feel like I dated enough women to know like certain things. I feel like I had a couple people say I should like start a like I should do like a stream of like talking to women and stuff, like to give people tips and stuff. But I literally dated like a bunch of women just to know like different different things I noticed in every woman. Like a woman could talk within like 1 and 2 minutes of her conversation. I'm like, she not the one, or like she already dealing with a lot of trauma or whatever just from talking to her. But at the same time, a lot of men, same thing. They like could peep like soon as they start talking to a woman, like you hear certain aspects of her, like, oh, she got drama from near, or if you want to smash, you be like, oh, she might be easy, you feel me? If she's hard to talk to, you might be like, ah, she's a tough cookie to crumble. It's different aspects I think men notice. I feel like women, they a lot of women, when I hear stuff like, oh, I felt like some type of way about a guy, but I still kept talking to him. It's always the same like mistakes or whatever, or that's not the right guy. I ran into a woman. This was like years ago, but like we were talking, and she was like, "Yeah, all the guys I talk to are like nuts," and I'm like, maybe that's what you're attracted to, like you feel me? But like people are attracted to what they are attracted to. I feel like I always say like if you look at the full world, it's probably 50-50 in everything. So you gonna have some good women, some bad women. Um, we're in America, we might see a lot more of the toxic like women, or the women. Not every woman's toxic, but a lot of this stuff with women. When you go around the world though, you see a lot of other stuff. Like me traveling the world, I start noticing like, yo, a lot of women are submissive, but it's hard to. I mean, it's hard to find that in America as such, because like I feel like in America all you hear is I don't need a man, which is a crazy mistake. In other places they look for men. So I feel like that's a problem. Not everywhere, but a lot of places they need it. They know that they need a man in their life at some point. So I feel like when you're dating when you're dating people, I feel like generally getting to know them, being genuine with them, um talking to them, seeing what they like, seeing what they don't like, seeing who they are, and important thing is knowing their background. Get to know their background, see what their parents are like or how their parents are. See what they don't like about their parents. Every kid does not like something that their parents do or have done. And kids do like things that their parents do or have not done, but that makes you a better person or a worse person. So you need to see different aspects. I know one girl, man, she was bad, like phenomenal as in like looks in our connection, but the chick was like on drugs, right? She was a party girl, feel me? And I liked her because of the connection that we had was like strong as shit. But can I curse on here?
Yeah, man, that's fine.
All right, it was strong, but as soon as she had a problem with her mom, but like her mom just wanted her to stop doing drugs, and like me being a real person and looking at all the facts, I'm
Hmm.
like she got a little upset, but I'm like I kind of agree with your mom because it's like you feel me, like just because you're not buying drugs and you're doing it with your friends, if your friends are doing it all the time, you're still an addict. You feel me? And like most people start a drug addiction from like using drugs that they're not buying until they start buying it, whatever. So I feel like just that part of knowing a little bit more of the background of like from what she said, and then like finding the facts, I feel like she was a little upset that she was going through some stuff with her parents. But then I look at the aspect as her parents looking at her as like, yo, you doing all this stuff out here in these streets that we don't agree with. And some parents don't want you to be in their house because of that. But me being a man and looking at it and like, hey, this girl is, I like this girl, because of the connection we have, whatever. But this is a big problem that she does have, and like me talking to her about it, whatever. I'm talking about. She was like, from my understanding, I met women that are bad, like like in your standards, that do drugs a lot. Me, like, I mean, people smoke weed, or whatever, but some people do like heavier drugs, like coke and whatever, like that. But that's an issue. I wouldn't actually want to, like, you can have fun with girls like that if you want. I don't personally do drugs, but like people that go out and party, you don't know what everybody do. So you could have a good time with females that's out there in the streets and like experiment or whatever they want to do, but you can't really take that serious, because if you want to build a family with that, like, you don't know how that could play a role in their life. Vice versa with men. I know a lot of women talk to men, and they have some type of addiction, and it affects the household. Like, they'll have kids with the guy and stuff, and he's not doing his responsibility. So I feel like a big part of relationships is just getting to know your partner, like, ins and out, and really taking the time. You feel me? Like, I got to the part where being engaged and stuff, like, it takes a lot of work. People like, oh, like having a relationship, like being at peace. I'm like, yo, like me and my fiance, like, we might argue, like we might talk about stuff. We get past stuff though. Like, we have some time to have communication and stuff. And like, you want to be with somebody that you could communicate with. You don't want to just keep arguing and stuff without actually talking and solving like issues and stuff. And everything doesn't require argument or a big like lecture or like conversation, but some things, you know, you got, if you feel some type of way, you need to address it and let your partner know. I feel like communication is a big thing in relationships. Getting to know who your partner is, getting to know their family, getting to know them. I feel like a lot of people just rush it, get the sex, have kids, and then they're stuck, or they're going through a lot of issues. Um, some women that we think we might like feel like she's perfect might not be perfect. It might be somebody better out there for you. Sometimes you might look for better, but the person that you think is not better might be the perfect person for you. You mean like somebody that's going to be there with you. I got a friend. He always says he likes who likes him, and I feel like that was a big part of me dating. Like, after a while, like me talking to the bad women, and like it's impressive and all that, but like when you find like somebody that likes you for you and you like them for them, the connection is way better. Feel me? It's not like I see guys like spend a lot of money on women, like do too much to impress a women. I don't like, you really want somebody that you can have fun with or walk in the park with. Like, you don't need to
Yeah,
necessarily spend money, even though you're gonna have to spend money in a relationship. But
of course.
like, like I feel like different aspects of relationships is just communication, and you gotta, I feel like you can't give up. There's gonna be moments where you want to break up and not talk to them. You can't give up. You gotta keep pushing. I feel like that's what makes the relationship, when you like relationships over because people stop trying. So um it's always, you gonna have bad days, good days, but I feel like a lot of people get stuck on just, I mean, they like just not knowing the person and getting stuck. Now, some people are manipulative. I know, had a friend got married, and the guy was unbelievable for her. He switched up, was abusive after the marriage and stuff, and they got divorced and whatever. And she's out there dating now. But like things like that, I understand. Like, feel me? But like in other situations where you're just dating the person, and then you're not really knowing them, and then they they show you their real colors, it's just because you need to date them, or if you rush a situation, you don't know how a person actually handles life. Feel me? Life throws like crazy curveballs at you every day, all day. So You feel me? I could tell you, I could bet everybody in this chat has went through something this week in life. You feel me? Good or bad, you still gotta get past it. You feel me? Shit.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's definitely no. I was gonna say, in terms of yeah, you have to be able to communicate with your partner and really understand.
you understand me.
You can't just go off of if you're just going off of looks or whatever. Like you have to really communicate. Like, yeah, communication in any aspect is very, very important to really be able to, like you said about the argument side of it. Yeah, if every time you guys navigate conflict, all you're doing is going like calling each other out your names, and it's always consistent arguments. That's a problem, and that needs to be addressed too. How you navigate conflict is very important because if you're navigating conflict through toxic arguments, there's a problem. There's a problem, and then usually that comes from unhealedness, unhealed trauma that comes from somewhere else. It was how you were taught to communicate. That's probably how you saw your parents communicate, maybe from past relationships. Maybe that's how you communicated or how your partner communicated to you. But yeah, in a healthy relationship, you have to know how to navigate conflict for sure and address it.
I agree,
Um,
man. That's why like self
wait,
is so important, bro. Like just to make sure you are your whole person before you get into something, because it's a lot of people out there that's dating and they be saying, I'm ready to date, I'm ready to get into something, and then they have these issues that arise within a relationship that they can't handle, right? Because they not fully there for themselves, or when they get into a relationship they lose sense of self completely because
That
you
that
never
goes into
had
attachment styles. Yep.
yeah, man.
that and and also like a lot of women force relationships, bro, and kids. Like I'm not saying guys do the same thing, but like on my end, like since I was young, like I always had women trying to have babies and stuff. Like you don't even know me, like what? But then at the same time, like women within the 2 weeks, they also want to be in a relationship and all this shit. Like, bro, we haven't dated, like we haven't actually dated and got to know me, or whatever. You just want to hop into a relationship, even if sex is like popping off. Like we still need to go out and get to know each other. Sex is cool, but it's more. I still want to know. I want to know everything about you. So it's
Sex.
like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not one of the guys that be like, oh, I can't. I'm gonna wait 3 months. Like I'm not one of those guys, bro. But like I had been one of those guys before. So, but at the same time, like communication is key. I let stuff like that be known in the beginning stages of talking, or I did in the past. So like doing stuff in the past, like just being just communicating like what I want or what I'm thinking about. Sometimes I don't know what I'm thinking about, and I feel like that's important too. But I feel like rushing relationships on people is not that cool. Like you gotta take time. I feel like sometimes you might just date a person and they go the distance or whatever. I know for like women on the other end, a lot of women they have sex with men, and now the guy's not taking care of their kids, or like they're struggling with that, and it's like you know some of these guys out here, like you chose a guy that's not mentally, or like maybe just not there yet, and like you chose to do something with them, and it might have been cool at the moment, but then like repercussions happen. You feel me? I know like a lot of people don't like using protection. It prevents kids and some STDs. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
we need to like make that more as a people. People need to start using protection because that eliminates some of the issues that you have when you having these like interactions with people. Um, I could say like for the women, like some of the women have like that I communicated with over the years definitely said like they had some horror experiences with men, and it's like I don't necessarily I I had to understand certain stuff just because I don't do no weird shit, but then when I hear weird shit, it'd be like, oh, like I might do something and the girl might react to something. I'm like, what the fuck is you reacting like that for? But she had a past trauma. So I feel like getting past your traumas is one thing, but some women be like, oh, this is my trauma and I can't forget it. I moved past it, but I can't forget it. They don't totally let it go, but that can affect you dating somebody because a woman could have a bad trauma where you know she doesn't like being touched on the shoulder, just for example, and you like touching your chick on the shoulder, but like you're like, oh, this is my chick. I'm not the other guy. Like you never know their past trauma, but when you're dating somebody, that could be a factor, whatever they went through in their past relationships and stuff. And guys have same issues where some of their past relationships may affect their current relationship. So I'm not gonna lie, at one point in my life, I was kind of like a little distant on certain things with women because of my past relationships. Had a friend say, you know, it was a good advice too. Every time you talk to somebody new, you starting over. Like you should give them your all, even though you might give somebody your all 90 times. That 91 time, you might be the right person, but if you don't keep giving people your all, like in relationships, and you get heartbroken, whatever, but like you want that person to be in love or fall in love or talk to you. You don't want that person to be like talk to somebody that
Yeah.
you like, you're like,
And I think people, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was
no,
gonna
no,
say,
you good.
I
Cause
think
I'm
some,
trying to think of the word I'm trying to look for anyway.
nah, no, you're fine. I was gonna say, I think that some people too, they don't recognize too that they bring that trauma into their relationships, right? And sometimes they expect that person to be able to heal their trauma. And while a person can be supportive,
Yeah,
you can't fix someone's trauma. So I think that that's a key indicator too, like going to attachment styles and understanding all that type of stuff when it comes to trauma. You have to be able to differentiate too, between supporting somebody and fixing somebody. You can be there as support for that person, but make sure also that they're pouring into them. If they're not pouring into them, they're not happy with themselves, they don't love themselves, you can't fix that. That requires therapy. It
yeah,
requires the hard work, and it requires them sitting down and being honest with themselves and being accountable for the trauma that they have. Maybe that trauma probably didn't come from themselves. They got it from somewhere else, but it doesn't mean you're a broken person. It just
yeah,
means you're self-aware enough to understand you have it and be taking active steps to work on it. It's not your partner's responsibility to fix that. You need a supportive partner for sure, because if you don't have a supportive partner, that's going to make your trauma worse. But support and being a fixer to fix it is different. Is
yeah.
different. People
I
need to
was gonna
heal.
say, I was gonna say like people be shut off and like have a barrier when they're talking to people. But like, yeah, bro, you're totally right with the support and stuff. I was gonna say that too. Um, but yeah, like like being supportive for somebody to help fix your trauma is way different than trying to fix somebody's trauma because it's hard. Like you're not a therapist, you can help, you could guide, but only like somebody can only like fix certain things with themselves. You feel me? They got to get past stuff with themselves.
They have
You
to
know?
want to heal. They have to want
Yeah,
to heal.
yeah, they have to want it. So, but man, the date. I heard the dating pool is crazy out there, and I know it is. Um, like it's hard to even trust people these days because like and I'm not trying to throw my friends under the bus, but I like all my friends, bro, had experiences with women in relationships that we may not have even known about. So like when you're dating people, a lot of guys look at it like, man, I don't even trust her, you feel me?
Right.
I think
Because
it all comes back to what Rich was saying about the culture, like
yeah, the culture.
being able to find what we talk about in in this climate, such culture. Like I've traveled a lot myself. Like I've been to Asia, I've been to the Middle East, and you don't, and especially in the Middle East, you don't really see a bunch of babies everywhere from different people. Different people having different babies everywhere. Like you don't really see that. And I
Yeah,
think as humans, we're the product of our environment. So the overarching culture in America is just kind of breeds this dating pool that we're in to some extent. So while there's really nothing we can do about it, I think the key is just if you're aware of it, you're aware of the culture, you're aware of the environment affecting how people are dating, how the dating pool is right now. I think maybe finding somebody who's also aware of it and trying to, I guess, be a little bit more counterculture to it can help you in this situation, and
Mhm.
help establish something that you're looking for. So, but I really think it's just human beings, we're the product of our environment. Like we
Yeah,
all men here, we're the product of the environment here in America as well. Like we play a part into it as well.
yeah.
We play the field too. So, um, so
We did
since
our
we kind of
damage.
yeah, so it's not putting the blame on the women, it's not putting the blame on the men. I think we all have to take accountability of this is kind of how the culture in America and what it breeds, and
So true.
like kind of like how people having babies ever like no
Look at
disrespect to Cardi B, she just got pregnant by
you took
another
the words out
dude.
of my mouth, bro.
Yeah, she just got
Bro.
pregnant by another
And,
dude after she's still married and she just thinks it's cool.
Bro, and I'm
Like
gonna be
I see there's
honest,
nothing
it's
wrong with that. It's just
crazy.
like
And
and
people,
if you go to
I
Qatar
mean,
and that happens, that was not
yeah.
happening in Qatar, and
nah,
that's not
bro,
acceptable in Qatar. So
You
nah,
it's the environment.
you wanna know
bro.
something crazy though, man? I know that it's two different things. Like I'm about to say, but I'm about to say this. I know, like I know that. I feel like first of all, I'm agree with some of the things you just said. I feel like when you're dating, this is an experience. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I don't want to like put people's business out there. I'm gonna just say it. So I was in a place where a woman was talking about that was Muslim was talking about stuff, and another Muslim guy that was from like um I don't want to say not Pakistan or anything, but like from like overseas, a Muslim guy from overseas was talking to this lady that was Muslim, and when they were talking and stuff, the things that she was talking about, like going out and this and that, and being like a city girl type stuff, like being out there trying to like having guys, and like my personal knowledge on her, she has her experiences with like men and stuff like in dating and you mean really regular Philly stuff. But the guy was looking at her and he said something. He was like, "My Muslim values and your Muslim values are different. Like the women, the values that I'm accustomed to are way different than how you are. Like the women that behave that I like me from overseas are not the same as here. That's Muslim, and I know it was a religion thing. I don't want to go too far in religion, but like I was listening to what he was saying, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, bro, you have no idea. Like I think she said something, and he like covered it up without going into detail about what he meant. He said something like, "Oh no, it's just two different places." But I knew what he really meant, and what he really was talking about is because as soon as he said it as a man, I understood he was talking about a lot of women out here. Like you gotta think from young ages, they're outside doing them, and then like the women back in other places, a lot of them are learning how to be wives and stuff. The women out here, they don't need a man, so it's different. So they grow up like that. Some women, you know, um, take that.
Yeah,
That's their culture and their values is different. They want to go get lit and stuff, but
yeah,
like men not really attracted. Like we like to have fun and we like to fuck on with lit women, but like
yeah,
we don't want to go home to a lit woman. Like we don't want to
yeah,
come home and we don't have kids. Everybody outside, the
yeah,
kids
yeah.
is going crazy. The your wife or
And
your
that's
baby
yeah.
mom's outside. We don't want that.
And
We
that's why
want
I
to.
think, yeah, both sides of it is like that too, bro. I think it's like too, it's a lot of men just aren't traditional men today either. So it's like it's both
Yeah,
sides of
because
it, man. It's crazy.
a
It's
lot
just
of
based
men
on
out
time.
there having fun, bro. I'm not. It's nothing to lie about a lot of women. But
Both
it's the
sides.
women out here that don't care, so the men don't care. And then they get
Mm-mm.
older, and the men got a bunch of kids. The women have kids. You got people that be like, "Oh, I want to get married." You know how crazy it sounds to hear a 47-year-old woman with a few kids talking about she want to find a husband and stuff. Like, you're not going to find a husband. You might find somebody that you compatible with, that you can have some freaky fun with, and you can go on a date with and stuff like that. But you're talking about you want a committed relationship at 47 years old or 37 is a little pushing it. You feel me? I'm not saying you can't
It's kind
find
of
it.
like you're looking for a companion at those ages. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
like
somebody to spend time with. I'll say that this
you need
to
it at
Rob.
20, 21, 22 is where you could have a little fun. But 24,
Mm.
25, 26, 27, you need to be settling down with the person that you supposed to be with. A lot of women then already took like
I'd
already
say I would say it depends
missed
on
it.
the gender too, because I will say, remember, women do have a biological clock, whereas men don't. So I'd
Yeah,
say it really depends. It really depends. I would say on that side of it. To Rob's point about like the culture stuff, I do agree with that. I think here in America, it's just normalized a lot of this stuff. To the Cardi B point, it's like it's crazy. It's like she's been with Stefan Diggs for what, like a whole not even 6 months, and she's already had
yeah,
a kid with him. And I don't have any beef with Cardi B. I don't have any issues with Cardi B. I'm just saying, not every person has Cardi B money either. You know, Cardi B
yeah,
can't afford her children, even if the
yeah,
Stefan Diggs stepped out. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. She can afford it.
yeah.
But it just goes to show the culture. Um, of
Another
what it is.
another thing that we talked about as men, I feel like men talk about this, but we talked about it before. Polygamy, like honestly, like me speaking, like it's cool to have one woman and all, but like it's way more women in the world than it is men. And I feel like even in the Bible, it talks about people having more than one wife. And I feel like we're so accustomed to, like, you bring this up with a female and you already know how it would go. But honestly, like I tell women, it's not just about sex. You don't even have to have sex with another female for a guy to have uh two wives. You could live, like, you don't have to be in the same bed or whatever. You could it's different ways you can do it, but some successful relationships that you see like that, you see them having more stuff because you have three people in the household, maybe bringing in the income or maybe taking care of the house and stuff. Like, I feel like women don't realize that in relationships it's not like 50-50 has always been 50-50. Even when you say the guy's taking care of the house and stuff, it's always been 50-50. It's just 50-50 changes. uh
I'd
you never
actually
know what
say
happened to the guy, whatever. But back then in the old days, if you really look at it, the guys went out and the men went out and got food and put food on the table and worked for their household to make sure they were they had money and they had like food on the table and stuff. But the women cleaned the house, did the crops, did planted food too,
I
like,
think yeah. I
so
think
that's 50-50.
I think most women, if they could admit it, like would want to be stay-at-home mothers and be able to take care of a household if they could, like in this economy. So it really depend. You know what I mean? I would actually say that too. There was a debate I was actually listening to something on a podcast about it, and it's like there was a woman who was like working, but it's like honestly, if they could be able to settle into that role and just be able to be with their kids, and they would do that. And the 50-50 culture, I agree with you on that. It's always been that way. But I would actually say it's more so if we get technical. People like to say that terms, right? 50-50 and stuff. Yeah, sure, maybe in terms of finances, but like really a relationship, a marriage is 100-100. You know what I mean? 100%,
Yeah.
100%. Just into your roles, understanding what your roles are and giving everything in those roles is 100-100. That's what it should be. People, that's why these conversations are so important too, because like understanding expectations, understanding, what people like, understanding roles too. That's very important to
Yeah.
understand what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's very important.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Tizzy, on that 50-50. I don't think it was, always 50-50. I think everybody, like C was saying, played 100% in their own role. It's
I
almost
mean,
like
yeah, like 50,
you
50,
got a
100, 100,
You
yeah.
got a CFO, you got a CTO, chief technology, chief financial. The CFO is not doing 50% of their job; they're doing 100% of their job, and the chief technology officer is doing 100% of his job. So they're just playing different roles and doing 100%, but they're not like splitting their responsibilities 50-50. I think that's where we got a lot of confusion and, issues in the modern
I
day.
mean, I agree with you said with the 100. I was just trying to. I was literally trying to say that if you want to say 100 instead of 50-50. I mean, yeah, like basically, it's a better way to explain it is everybody was playing their part and doing their role. Like, you feel me? It wasn't like the woman wasn't doing nothing at all, and the men was just doing all the work. Because if you come like to in today's society, what you hear, you hear a lot of women say, "Oh, I want a man that makes over 100K. I want a man that's going to take care of me. I don't want to work. I don't blah blah blah." But then like they're outside, feel me, saying this stuff, and
Hmm.
and it sounds crazy, but like in realistically, like even back in the days or Bible, whatever, or like back in old times, the women played their role, the men played their role, and that's why I said 50-50, but it's definitely 100-100. Everybody played their role 100%, but it's a circle, like it makes everything work, and you can't
Yeah.
have the full circle if half the circle's working. You feel me? So
Mhm.
like you mean, and then a lot of men, and this is a big factor in today's world. A lot of men saying it's not worth being married. Like a lot of men are saying that because what benefits do you have when you're working all the time, taking care of your family? A lot of men provide and stuff in their relationships, and then they might get cheated on, divorced, and they have to pay for it. Like that's happening often now. So divorce culture wasn't looked upon back in the older days as good, and sometimes it is worth it if you being mistreated or whatever. But sometimes it's not worth it. The guy is doing all this stuff, and you have free time. Like let's say, like some guys do overtime and work just to make sure their family's cool. They get cheated on. I mean, vice versa. It can happen to women too. Everything I'm saying could be vice versa, by the way. But you got one person putting in all this work in the family, the other person is not, and then something happens to it, and now it's the divorce, and the other person is taking full
Mhm.
advantage of it. So you
Yeah.
got a lot of guys saying, "No, it's not worth being me," or "I can't find a woman that I want to do like give my world to or work hard for." You mean? I feel like the culture is really. I mean, we as a people need to be more structured. You know, like what are your goals when you're talking to somebody? Like if you really want to be married, I feel like you should hang around married people, and you should also be around people that want to be married too. You
There's
don't
a
like, you
there,
feel me?
yeah, there's a book I'm actually going to recommend. I listened to it. Somebody I know that's married. Him and his wife actually went through this when they were not everybody's Christian, but this is relatively Christian. It's called Nine Essential Conversations to Have Before You Say I Do. Some of those conversations are very open and triggering conversations. It talks a lot of stuff about your past. You talk a lot of stuff about your present, and you talk a lot of stuff about your future, and you walk through like what are your goals, but it walks through a lot of stuff. Some of it they advise you to sit down with church counsel to be able to meet you because some of the conversations they get deep. But what it ultimately talks about is it talks about when you get to the day of your wedding and the day where you marry that person, it's called a doubt-free wedding day. Now, sure, anything could happen, but it makes you go into that wedding very confident because you two work through all this stuff. That's why they call it premarital, right?
Yeah,
Premarital work to do this stuff before you get married. A lot of people are not yoked like that, especially in this day and age in this culture. They're not willing to have those conversations. But these are things that are very important. Like that book, I listened to that. I'm actually the second time listening to it. It's an audio book, but there's a paper copy too. It's a great book, but it's hard conversations in there. Very hard conversations. But if your partner loves you and is willing to, hey, this is us. This isn't about me or you. It's about us. Like, hey, we're gonna get through it and we're gonna work through it. That goes to show you the level of commitment to it. Because I always say this day and age, it's the opposite. Our grandparents' day and age probably stayed together in probably abusive situations, even in some abusive situations, where maybe there wasn't warranted. And then
you want to know?
our culture is the opposite, though, bro. It's the opposite. Like nowadays, people, the first sign of conflict, I'm
Yeah.
gone,
People
divorce,
I'm
act.
I'm
gone.
out.
And the crazy part about that is
That's
that
true.
when you talk to some older women, even though they might give bad advice to other women, like, oh, you should leave that relationship or whatever, but
Yeah, but that's
some
why
of
you
these
gotta have a
women,
woman who doesn't listen to that.
yeah, some of these women have stayed in relationships, married or with their husband after he done cheated, had kids, all this stuff, and they like, oh, you got a good marriage or whatever, and they've been through a lot of stuff to keep that marriage. I mean, even if they give women other advice, this is the craziest thing I ever heard a woman say. I'll say it on this podcast. So, worked at a job one day. I worked at a. Hold on one second.
Yeah, it's a red flag if your woman is
I'm with Tizzy on the point of like, yo, like what he just said with the people don't be having goals, yo. Like people don't
Yeah.
be having goals no more.
yeah, what are you moving towards?
Yeah.
Hello. Well, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right. This is very important. So, I worked at a job one time, and when I got on the job, the woman was like, she always talks about highly about her husband and everything, right? And she always talks about her husband in a great way. And I never hear her say nothing bad. And then like one day she was talking to this young lady that I was working with, and she started talking about her husband, like, yeah, um, something about like if you're like something about the way your husband is about men is like, if a man does this, you should leave him, blah blah blah. And she told this story. She said that when she first met her husband, he had another wife, and she basically was talking to him while he was married, but he said that they were getting a divorce up front and everything. So they started dating, everything was cool, and he said that he left her for his wife. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna try to work it out." Him and his wife had no kids, so she was like, "Hey," he said, "Hey, I'm gonna try to work it out," and she was like, "Okay." She respected that because he was trying to work out whatever he was going through with his marriage, and he was married, so she respected that one. And then it didn't work out. He wound up leaving the wife. They got a divorce, and then he was dating her. They lived in the same house. He was like, I guess he was paying the rent, or he was going half on the rent. Everything was cool. She said one day, out of the clear blue, he said, "Hey, I'm leaving. Um, the rent is paid to the end of the month, and then you got to find somewhere else to stay." That's what the guy told her, and she was devastated. She said, like, telling her, like, yeah, God ever leave you, whatever, don't take him like back or whatever, or you need just go find something. What else? You don't ever want to be put in that type of position or whatever. And I'm just listening to her talk about her husband, but she said to this day she don't know why he left. He said that he blamed it on like she threw out his favorite porno or some shit, like a magazine or some shit back in the day. Shit, I don't know, but as a man, when I heard that, I'm like, bruh, it could have been another woman. He could have got into some trouble in the streets or outside or something. You never know what his reason was. He could have been trying to protect you. You have no idea. He didn't tell you. He just up and left. He could have been trying to protect you. Something could have happened, and he was like, "Dang, I gotta leave her to protect her." And he can't say nothing to you because he don't know how you will react to it, and he needs to make sure you cool. You never know what happened. But like to this day, she says she doesn't know what happened. So I mean, this is happened. I thought this conversation happened years ago, but when she said it, she said to this day she didn't know what happened. So then all of a sudden he came back to her out of like the clear blue. He said like I think like a year or like I think less than a year, like 6 to 8 months went by. He came back in her life. She was sleeping on her sister's couch, and she was told him that she's not moving back in with him. Like he had to prove himself to her, which is understandable after what he just did. But at the end of the day, he slept on the couch with her on her sister's couch until she felt comfortable to move into to the house that they moved into. They got married. I believe she said he was a tailor, a good tailor or whatever. Like he made custom suits and stuff. But um, she had kids with him, a beautiful marriage, kids grew up. I mean, he made sure his kids grew up cool. His wife was taken care of, and they were old. They were like, I mean, I'm not gonna say old, but they were, I think, between 60 and 70s. And she was like talking about highly about her husband and how good the relationship was, and everything's cool, and how they have like the like this type of love that young people will be like, damn, I wish I had that type of love. And I'm like, how can you tell a female not to take a man back after he left or something, but you took your husband back and you had the most beautiful relationship? And I feel like that's one of them things where it's like it's bad advice that I see a lot of women give. Not only a lot of women give advice that they're not in a relationship with and are single, giving women in a relationship advice with, but like some women that are married
Yeah.
give bad advice to women that are single. I'm
Well,
like,
that's the
yeah,
thing you got to be careful of too. It's just these women, it's just what they say, misery loves company, right? So single women will
yeah,
keep women single. To be
yeah,
honest with you, I'm gonna get ready to wrap up shortly, bro, because
yeah,
it is like 11 something, so I don't wanna hold on too long. But I do agree with that. Yeah, no, misery loves company. So
yeah.
that's
Also,
up to your
men can give bad
girl to
advice
use.
too.
Yeah, that's up to your girl too to use discernment too. Like when talking to friends too. Like I'll say, not women, especially this goes for women. I would say this isn't. I mean, it does happen for men, but it's not as much with men as women. A lot of women will keep their friends single, especially if they're
Yeah,
single. They or maybe they're in a miserable relationship or they're going through a divorce or something. You got to really understand what their mindset is like during the time that they're getting advice from that person.
bro.
So be very
I,
careful.
I tell women, I'm like, yo, like this is something that I learned over the years. This is my like last thing I'll say. If you ever go to a party or an event with like in a female friends, a lot of times, like let's say like a girl brings some guys around, they're not gonna be like, oh, she's in a relationship. They're gonna be like, you gotta ask her, or you can shoot your shot and see what happens to that guy,
Mm,
not to her friend, but to that guy. She'll be like, oh, I mean, she's in a committed relationship, but you could see what she says, like, because women have told me that. I'm like, hey, what's up with your friend? Oh, she got a boyfriend, but you can still like see what's going on with her. You mean? And it's like women friends will say that to a woman that's in a relationship, and like that's not respecting that man, because just because the boyfriend or the husband is not there at that moment, her
yeah.
friends will be like, you mean, you feel me? Like the
Also,
crazy part, men won't do that. Men will be like, he's married or some shit like that.
right, and
So
that's yeah. So it's like yeah. Well, then I would say that woman needs to question her friends. You have to
yeah,
really question who you're associating with, because not all women are like that. But you got to really
not
question.
all women are like
Yeah,
that.
but you got to question your circle at that point. Integrity is very important. Morals and values are very important. If a woman's friends don't have that, what does that ultimately say about her too? Like the people she surrounds herself with is very important. And also, like you got to be careful too. Women and men both. It's okay for men to share things with their close brothers. It's okay for women to share things with their friends. But you got to be very choosy about what you share from your relationship with your friends and also with your family too. You got to be very choice about what you choose to share, because at the end of the day, there's certain things inside your relationship. Say you're married, your marriage that's between you and your partner. And guess
I
what? You can handle
actually,
that.
I actually feel like, and I just thought about something that might help what I'm about to say,
Yo,
but I
before
don't feel
before you
like you
say
should share
that,
anything
I do
about your
gotta
relationship.
go, bro. I do
Oh
gotta
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no
Cause
problem.
it
I'm,
is. I could only stay until 11, but
Yeah, 11
appreciate
o'clock.
y'all for the
yeah,
conversation.
I gotta go too soon.
The appreciate you guys, bro, for going over the relationship stuff and conversations, attachment styles, all that, man. I appreciate the conversation, guys.
No, y'all was a
Yeah,
dope. Y'all was a dope group of guys to talk. To have a discussion like this with, man. So
yeah.
thanks
Yo,
for
Rich,
having me
appreciate
on.
you, bro.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah,
Thanks, brother.
yeah.
Go ahead and talk out.
I was
Um,
gonna say, this is my last thing. Um, I don't. I feel like you shouldn't really talk about your relationship to other people. If anything, go to counseling, talk to a professional. Sometimes professionals give bad advice too, but You have a good
non-biased,
time.
but non-biased. There's no
Yeah,
bias with a
yeah, it's
professional
no
versus
bias, and it's a better chance of getting through whatever you gotta get through with a professional.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Unless
yeah,
you, yeah, and even certain things, I would say, therapy, sure, but like you can discuss your relationship with people, but just understand who your friends are, who you're talking
I
to.
mean,
But
yeah,
but also you have to understand too. I don't care how self-aware or how emotionally intelligent your friends are. There's certain things that are off limits. Like there's certain things, when I was in my last relationship that I would not share with even my closest brothers because I think it's disrespectful to my partner to discuss certain things. Just
yeah,
like I would respect I would expect my woman, my partner to also, not discuss certain things. Like, hey, that's between me and you. It's not between anybody else. We discuss that
yeah,
together. We communicate. We sit down and we talk. It's not for anybody else. You got to be careful putting too many hands inside or too many people inside your relationship.
yeah. You're right about that one.
No, it's facts though. It's
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna get ready to wrap up, brother, because it's late. I'm sure Rob ready to
yeah.
knock out too, man. It's like a little after
Nah,
11.
I appreciate being on this on the discussion today. I gotta go too, so I see y'all later for the next one.
Appreciate you coming in, Tiz. Appreciate that, man. Rob, same here, bro. Appreciate you. Anna, Rima, thank you guys for commenting in. I appreciate that. Everybody who's watched, same.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the opportunity, Steve.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Always a good discussion when we all get together.
For sure, for sure.
All right, my friend. Thank you again for the support, man. Have yourself a great night, Rob.
Y'all have a great night.
Take
Good
care,
night,
bro.
everyone.
All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap up here, and this is going to be the end of the stream. But thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, Karima, thank you. Anna, thank you. Everybody who watched on Facebook, everybody that watched on YouTube, Dante, Rob, Rich, appreciate you guys. Kandyce, I know you tried to pop in for a second. Zach, same thing. Appreciate you both. Next week, we will see you guys for episode 229. It is 11/11, make a wish. I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm always seeing signs and synchronicities these days. But we're knocking out at 11/11. Make a wish, guys. Have yourself a great night. We'll see you next week for episode 229. Oh, yeah, by the way, go Birds.